4. Yep. And then Fire's level 8, though I didn't get in there probably unintended way by having Fire jump on my toe. It's legit ridiculous how, like, quickly... Oh, I needed you. Oh my god. Okay, guys, so the next platinum that we did, that was the Escapist platinum. This one was redeemed by one of my moderators and longtime follower, Professor Pro. Shout out to him. He likes these types of strategy games, and I thought it'd be interesting because I don't really play a lot of them on stream. I get nervous playing strategy games on stream because people do get quite backseat gaming with all of it. And this isn't like a really in-depth strategy game. I love strategy games. I suck at them. I suck at games like this completely. But we did it anyway. So this game itself, funny enough, like, and it's not what I expected. I was like reading it's like 6 out of 10, one playthrough, 20 hours. I was like, 20 hours, I'm gonna be fine. It's not gonna be a 6 out of 10. That's ridiculous. I was completely wrong. Completely wrong. This game was rough. Now, the only reason it was rough, I feel like what really adds to the difficulty is the RNG. The RNG was painful. The amount of times I had to reload was crazy. I couldn't get certain things to work at certain times. I would constantly go over and over again. I wasn't making huge stuff ups with like any of the other mechanics in the game. Like I wasn't like dying a lot or like, you know, getting the guards to like capture anything like that. It was just the RNG mechanics of just making sure that I actually got something at certain times and needed certain things for certain things. And that's where it got really frustrating. And I think sometimes that this game is so simple but so good and so complicated but not. If that makes any sense. Like, I remember complicating now. I overcomplicated and overthought way too much sometimes. Like, sometimes when I made the escapes, I didn't even need half of the steps that I chose to do because it just wasn't necessary. And I would overexert myself to get done. And I would spend hours doing that on some of these prisons. But luckily, it wasn't completely necessary. And eventually, when I started to understand that a bit more, it was a little bit easier. Still wasn't, though. Funny enough, the earlier prisons I struggled with the most out of all of them, which is ridiculous, but took a while for me to get grips to this game. If you are considering this game as a platinum, I would recommend it, but just remember, you are going to get frustrated, I'm going to be honest. It is a little bit frustrating at times, and it's very grindy to get the last few trophies. I finished the game, I reckon, in around 12 hours, and I reckon it was like nearly 10 hours of just grinding to make sure. And those are just RNG mechanics. Like, and that was ridiculous. And you can progress some of these, but I don't think the game is as fun. If you're just playing this as an objective to get the trophies, it's hard to enjoy the game, and you do get carried away and distracted anyway. And I actually forgot about the trophies for a lot of this gameplay, which was good and different. But yeah, I would recommend just playing as it is. Now, with the first one, the first prison, which is Center Perks. Basically, it's a pretty basic prison out of all of it. It's more about trying to learn the layout of the entire prison, trying to get myself grips with the game, understanding what's going on. I made so many mistakes. There was a lot of things I learned in this prison. Basically, just build up your strength. The first prison, and you're pretty much untouchable. That's pretty much it at the end of the day, and that's what I did. But there was a lot of issues, like I was taking on a lot of tasks where you have to beat up other prisoners. Now, I started to figure out that obviously that's just not a good idea. And I reckon, I honestly, after this prison, I didn't take on a single other job where I had to beat up an officer or another prisoner, because they would just chase you down the entire time and try to hit you. And it was not that it was hard, it was just annoying. And it got out of hand. And when I needed to start trading with people, or made people like me, it made it that much harder. So for the rest of the game, I pretty much just avoided that. And that's like basically what I was doing, just this. And I probably spent a little bit too long in the first one, to be honest. Probably because it's taking me like 10 minutes, really. Probably like 2 to 3 hours, just trying to get my grips with the game. But it was just a pretty basic prison. It was actually like very big for the first prison as well, which is interesting. And you actually do the majority of the trophies in this first prison because it was just easier that way. Now, a lot of people who have actually done this platinum that I've seen before basically recommend to do all of the trophies, all the grind stuff before you begin the game in this prison. I didn't want to do that. I kind of wanted to experience it, and I wanted to play this, of course, because Professor was watching me as well and wanted me to do all of it as best I can. But what I basically did, I got so strong, I knocked out too many officers, realized I could just run out of the prison because I went into lockdown. And I was like, okay. I just wasted 2 hours when I could just beaten up all the prisoners, all the officers and the prisoners. What did I just do? So, yeah. But it was not too bad, this one here.
Sorry, fam.
Okay. This prison, okay. For me, this is the hardest prison in the game. And this is where I really did overcompensate and overcomplicate everything. Anything I tried in this prison did not work. And not because of just my plans not working, because I would work my butt off and would keep going over and over again until we would get something right. It just did not work. RNG would happen, a different officer would be in a different spot, something every single time would not work. The prisoners wouldn't attack properly. It was just constant. Now, I did look up a guide for this in the end because I was getting so frustrated. It wasn't funny. Did the guide, spent probably an hour and a half to 2 hours nearly following the guide to do this, and still failed. Yeah, I don't even know. And still failed it after all that grinding, and I honestly nearly gave up at that point. I was so stubborn. I think it was like 2 in the morning at this point. I'm like, screw it, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. So me and Professor came up with a whole different idea for it. Basically, we wanted to make some clippers, take the guard's outfit, make armored. This is like, and we really went over the top. Like, you wouldn't have to do some of this stuff until like the very late prisons. And we're on the second prison. I'm sitting here struggling my butt off, like struggling, like dying. And we made like a very high level like pair of like clippers, like, or like cutters, like fence cutters, and then armored gear as well, which they don't get you to do that even to the end of the game. And we did all of that just to get out. And that took a few goes as well, but we finally got there in the end. So not even following the guide, we still went over the top with it. This prison, honestly, is like, probably one of the hardest to get out of. And I've got no clue why they made the second prison. The trophy rarity of this really jumps up from the first to the second. And I can 100% understand why so many people drop this game. It's amazing because a lot of people actually haven't finished this game at all to begin with. So they're actually rare. Just the story trophies are just rare. Like, just finishing all the prisons is like quite rare. And it's actually kind of weird, but it's understandable because this game, is just a lot harder than I think most people probably expected. So with this third prison, this one, funny enough, went a lot smoother than the second one. Thank God. It still took me a while though, obviously developing a lot of the stuff and trying to craft things to basically get out. The problem is I really had, and I forgot to mention this in the second prison as well, is the intellectual problem. Now, for some reason, sometimes if you would get in a fight or something would happen, your intellect would drop. And it constantly would drop while I'm trying to raise it to be able to basically like craft certain things. And if I had an enemy in the prison, they would constantly attack me, and then I would lose intellect. Now, I don't understand why this happened, because some prisons didn't have this and some did, but it would constantly happen and I would lose, and I would just get so angry because I'm trying to craft something. I'd have everything like pictured out, everything going well, go to do something, and then bang, I don't have enough intellect. And I was like, what do you mean I don't have enough intellect? So it was just basically a bit like that. We basically just had to craft basically a shovel is like the main part of it basically, which is like a pretty simple item to actually craft. At this time though, it was like the most complex thing I've ever done in my entire life, hiding stuff in the toilets because the security had ramped up quite a bit. This layout of this prison was a little bit different. There's more jobs in this one too, which is quite a popular prison for doing the jobs in for one of the trophies. But we finally got there in the end. It was a pretty basic one though. You just want basically the prison to go into lockdown, so all the prisoners and all the prison guards are distracted. Dig at the front door, walk out. This was probably the easiest exit in the game, I'm going to be honest. Even easier than the first prison. It was just making sure I did the right things at the right time. But we got there in the end. That prison
was so...
Okay, this jungle compound was pretty crazy. This was pretty hard. This is a really, really big jump up from what we had been experiencing. There is security everywhere. And if you have anything, they'll take it instantly and they'll attack you. The guards are way stronger. The prisoners are way stronger. You have to be... If you're not at a certain activity at any time, instant lockdown, they're coming to get you. If you're not there for half of it, instant lockdown, they'll come after you. Like, it was just constantly like that over and over again. And you still had to stay put, because if they caught you somewhere else where you're supposed to be at that activity, This is where it was. This one was really difficult because, like, to actually get the intellect and the strength up, I had to actually time a lot of things. This is where like a lot of the scheduling really came into play. You really had to time manage in this prison, which was a really big jump up. I tried to do my job and failed it, which we don't want to talk about the jobs. I tried all of them. I only passed one of them. I had to do that later on, but this was ridiculous. Like, I was like, holy God, bro, this is like. Yeah, it was a huge step up. And crafting all these things, RNG was really big in this, and it was really hard to find things. And the worst feeling ever was feeling the absolute relief of finding something in a prison that I've been looking for literal like an hour. Walking straight through a security like a security door. Alarm goes off, they beat me up and take the item. It was nothing worse. You just feel sick, you feel stupid.
Yes.
Because even if I reload from the day,
you should do it, and I'll come
RNG, items all reset, completely different. And it's like, oh my God. And spend half an hour again grinding to then pray to God someone is selling it or has it in one of the chests. But we got all the items in the end. I'm not going to lie. The security door, I did that 3 times before I got it right. Took me a lot of thinking to get that one through. Like I said, a lot of scheduling. I was quiet for a lot of this prison because it was rough while on stream, but we got there in the end. You basically had to cut the back of the fence with a plastic fork, which was quite, or knife, sorry, which was quite interesting. Get to the lowest percentage as quick as you can at the start. That will kill you because obviously you're cutting a fence, but you get to that low point. Wait for a certain part in the lockdown, put on security guard gear that we had to steal, cut the fence, jump through, put a fake fence on top of it. This one was pretty complex. Then jump up the back where the officers obviously sleep, break in there, steal some papers in there, I guess like a release form or like basically a form to basically that you can leave and exit the prison whenever you want to, rewrite it all, then run out, go to the front while wearing a security guard still. They just let you through because they just think you're another security guard. That was pretty much it. It was not easy. But we got that one. That one was cool, though. That was really cool. That was like where I was sitting there like, this game has a lot of depth because that was like, I was like, wow. Like, they actually thought of that and that they made that work. But like, what's insane is because obviously I did get hints by obviously looking it up because I was like, there's no way. And like, I just have hints. I didn't know exactly how to do it. I just sort of figured it out. The papers, obviously not. I was like, there's no way. I don't know how to do this. But that was really cool. Like, the depth they actually put into this game is amazing. And the amount of different ways you can escape is incredible. Like, you got to give them props. And this prison really showed what you could do in the game while obviously ramping up the difficulty and the intensity of the prison itself. Because really, I just kind of thought it by the 3rd or 4th prison, I could just do whatever I wanted.
I'll come live with you in your streamer mansion.
Why not? Okay, so San Pacho. This prison was rough. This was the grindiest prison by a mile. I think I nearly spent an entire stream just on this prison. This was rough. This was grindy. You had to have so many materials and you would just spend here forever. Doing loops, making sure day by day, go to the traders, constantly trying to find stuff and to make sure they have it. The rarity of duct tape and timber and frickin' metal sheets in this made me want to gouge my eyes out. Because if I go to any other prison, there's just infinite amounts of them. This prison, they were like, no, screw you, not happening. And could not find it. And I would find everything else, and I would be one item short every day. And this is where I was getting so frustrated. I apologize, I'm getting ramping up here. Oh my god, dude. This game made me so angry at this stage. I constantly reloaded over and over again, probably nearly 30 days. Each day took up so much time, and I was getting so frustrated with it because I could not get it right. Now, for this one, basically what you had to do was dig your way out. Now, this was quite an intense one because obviously you had to have a certain amount of things. Like I said, it thinks into it. Like, you got to get rid of the dirt. When you dig, you get the dirt, and then you got to make sure to hide the hole properly, which is that you put it under your inmate's desk. Obviously, they're not going to check there. If they do check there, it's their fault, not yours. You know, I'm not quite sure. It's like a bit of a glitch, I think.
Okay.
Went under there, started digging. This was ridiculous. I was getting so frustrated. This is also RNG. So even the predicted amount of items that any guide or anything had were wrong because they basically said it's estimated and it could be wrong. I think I nearly had to have triple the items because to make triple the shovels because they wear and tear. triple
I really
the
enjoyed that on the 360. I've heard really good things
triple,
about it.
just triple everything, like everything. Nothing went well. I'm sorry,
Ooh, we got a trophy.
nothing.
Nice.
And I would run
We
into
might not get the
rocks. I'd
trophy
have to dig
today.
around the rocks.
I was supposed to play
At
with
one
models
stage,
today,
we had like
but
4
I
rocks in a
didn't do
row.
very well, so we probably won't play
Ridiculously
today.
unlucky. Then kept going. More rocks.
We might
Finally
give it a go. I've
made
heard
it.
really good things about it.
Finally made it to the fence where we needed to go and break our way
The
through.
Wanted action
And we
movie is one
finally
of the
got
most
out.
underrated
This was
movies I've
the
ever seen.
biggest relief.
Like, I don't know
This
about
was
it. That game's
this is the
literally
longest I
great.
spent in a prison for
Peak
sure.
through.
This was ridiculous.
Iron's better than
The
the
RNG here just was not in my favor, and it was honestly painful. If I was a bit more patient and chilled out a bit more, I think I would have been fine. But this was rough, like very rough. And there was so many different ways to get out of this prison, but it was rough. And it was the easiest one too, like with like day-to-day stuff, because no guards come with you. But I didn't dig during the day because I needed to collect items and build up items and get enough money to buy stuff traders. So it was constant. And it was such a slow slug, and we finally got there in the end. It was rough. It was rough, and no one could give me any advice or anything on it. It was just constant, and yeah, it was just I just got unlucky with that one. And there's nothing you can really do. You could restart the prison, but really I'd lose all my progress by then.
that was so
And I was too stubborn at that stage to restart the whole prison when I was
Holy
halfway
shit,
through the
dude.
tunnel. So
It's
thank
really cool
God
the
we got
game
this
is
one
so
done.
good, yeah. It was
Because I thought I was never going to get through this, and I was like, this is probably the part where I was like, this game is really hard. Like this is a lot harder than I was expecting. And a lot of people dropped the game here. Like, and I don't blame them. Like, what the actual hell is what is this? You know?
This is the final prison.
Okay, this is the final one. Now, can I say this is the easiest prison in the game? I'm not joking. This is the funniest one. Every cell has security cameras and security doors on it. So they'll basically, if you have any contraband, they'll just come after you. And that's fine because the guards were not strong. The other inmates were not that strong either. It was really weird. They weren't that strong. They didn't really do that much damage. And if they did get me, it was fine. Because at that stage, I'd played so much of the game, I knew exactly how to dodge the guards, how to get rid of items fast enough before they take them off me, and stuff like that. So I just kept using like a certain way, basically, to run in, check the table before they come, and as they start coming towards me, check both tables, grab the items and put in there. The drop rate was amazing in this prison. I did this prison in like I think less than an hour, and it was crazy, and I was so ecstatic. There was a lot of steps, so many materials. I found them all, and it was great. And I figured out like a really easy way to do it. Now I did have to follow a guide for this one. This one I knew I would have to because I'd heard things about this prison. The other one's only loosely a guide. I didn't use a lot of it. I actually did the prisons a little bit different after I looked it up properly. A lot of the prisons I did a little bit different to what other people had done. This one I had to, because this one there's pretty much only one way out. So you basically had to build up enough items and enough things to basically get your way through it. It was rough. But like just to list some of the items, it was crazy. So paper mache, fake vent cover, flimsy cutters, lightweight cutters, and sturdy. Obviously that just like culminates. We then had to make a raft or a boat and a bed dummy as well. And there was just so many items, so many steps to get out of this prison.
I don't know where to go from here.
Basically, had to wait for nightfall, unscrew the top, put the fake vent cover on, go out, jump on top of the roof. I'll also put the body in the bag, in the bed, and cover the camera. Jump on the roof, and then get your way out. Basically, jump from roof to roof until you get outside the gates. Then find the dock. Then take a boat to get out of there.
Oh.
This was cool. This was a cool way to end the game. But I was like, what the hell, man? Like, yeah, I was not expecting that at all. But yeah. But again, this is probably the easiest prison. Like, I think even if like I hadn't have looked up a guide, I actually think I would have figured this one out. And that's like the thing, like not like figured out that way. I would have figured another way out. And I think that's crazy because like just the amount of items you had. There must have been
shit, here
so
we go.
many different ways to like get out, basically.
we
And
got
I
there,
think I
let's
will
go!
eventually revisit this
Sorry.
game because it's really good. I actually want to do the second one as
That's the
well at
final
some
prison.
stage, but I have to do a lot of the multiplayer trophies, so I'm trying to force my girlfriend into playing the game with me so
doing
I
today,
can do
Sarah
the
Family?
multiplayer trophies,
Doing
basically.
well. That's the last prison,
But
guys.
she's very competitive, so I'd have
Do
to
you or
obviously
do
do
you
it
know,
in.
have her tell you that days
We'd have
off
to do
and
it seriously, which would be rough because I think she would kick
days
my
welcome
ass
on
in
your
it.
butt
But
cheeks
anyway.
every Tuesday.
So obviously we had the miscellaneous last. A lot of these were done, funny enough, while I was playing, but a lot of them were so RNG related and ridiculous that I just didn't. A lot of like 50 inmates, knock out 50 inmates and guards. I did the guards, but not the inmates, which was interesting. But I guess just mainly because I didn't do the jobs. There was 100 jobs which I hadn't just hit, but we got there in the end. But there was a few that were so RNG related, they took forever. I mean this. The end miscellaneous grind took me 10 hours, and that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous how it took that long. This game's like a 12-hour game if you take your time. Like, I took my time with this game, and I just, like, it was crazy, dude, how long this took me. And maybe because I suck, or because the RNG hates me, and I have the worst luck in the world. I can't tell anymore. There was a few, though, we did that weren't too bad. So I spend naked 30 days in the game wearing out any, without wearing any outfits. We basically did this with the solitary one, where you have to go on solitary. You basically grab a spoon, take your clothes off, dig into the ground, go into solitary. A day passes. Do that 30 times. You got the true trophies. Weren't too bad. That was the easiest ones. There was the 100 visits from outsiders. This one was rough. Now, I thought it was 50, and when it didn't pop at 50, I teared up a little bit because it was rough. Now, each session that we could do, I reckon I could clear maybe 15 to 17 if I was lucky, unless someone interrupts me. So it took a fair while. This took like maybe like an hour, like just stuff like that. It was just stupid. There was also the toilets. All right, we'll talk about the toilets. The toilets were rough. The toilets were just constant. It didn't matter how much I put in there. You basically had to flood the toilets. It was used as a distraction. Terrible distraction. The guards pretty much just come knock you out, and half the time the guards don't even check it, which is fantastic. So basically you just put whatever items you can in it, and it goes off, and then it floods straight away. So basically I would grab any items I could from anyone else's desk, put it in there, pray to God it would flood. Now, to put this in perspective, I would spend an entire day in-game, 20 to 30 minutes a day, in a prison, right? In the first prison, so it would make it easier. I would some days get 2 toilets. That's it. I had to get 50. And some days I would actually get 1. And if I got 3, I'd be happy. And this took forever. I did this off stream and on stream, and I, no joke, reckon this took me 3 to 4 hours, probably longer, because the RNG for it was stupid. There was no easier way to do it. There was no better way to do it. It was just all luck. Flood what you can. Then you would run out of items as well at the end of the day. So you had nothing to do. I would buy all the items, then flood all the items. Still couldn't do anything. Constant. And I was doing the other trophies while I was doing all of this. Obviously, when I ran out of items and stuff, I just ran out of stuff by the end of it. Like, there was no point really at that point to really do any of it anymore. So we were just sort of stuck. And it was just dumb. Like, it was just it's such a dumb trophy. Now, a lot of people actually have dropped the platinum for that one. I don't blame them. Like, that was ridiculous. That one was just one of the dumber ones in the game, and I can't. Now, the other 2 really hard ones as well were the jobs. Now, the jobs weren't too bad. They were simple enough, but getting them, you had to basically trick a person basically into not work their job. They lose their job, then you take their job. Now, this one wasn't too bad. You basically be friends enough, make them follow you, go do your job, then wait for them to lose their job, then go take it. Now, if you were a little too late, a day passed, or something happened, all the jobs could switch around, all the jobs are taken up, nothing you can do. Have to spend an entire day trying to earn favor with another person and take it. This took a few hours as well, because, again, RNG, sometimes jobs would be taken, sometimes they wouldn't, sometimes they'd be replaced faster, It was just constant with this stuff. This was a little bit annoying. I'm not going to lie. I was getting frustrated. I did this mainly off stream because I just couldn't do it on stream. This one was rough. It was a lot of waiting. Like I said, some days take 20 to 30 minutes. And like, you know, I probably spent like 20 to 30 days on the game doing it. And there was no fast way of doing it. So it was ridiculous. Like, obviously, you could go into solitary and stuff like that. But then again, you risk the RNG of losing your job and losing something else. Someone else taking the job. And then there you go. And then they all rotate and stuff like that. It was just, yeah. Now, the last one was obviously craft all items in the game. Now, we had crafted most of the items in the game. Now, a lot of these were RNG specific, again, obviously, because they depend on you getting items. Now, I did the one that was the most craft heavy in the game. Obviously, the second last one that we struggled on for so long. But we ended up getting a lot of that done in the end, which is great. The problem was I didn't know which item we hadn't crafted yet. And it was one of, I think, 4 or 5 keys. And I could not remember which one I didn't do. So I had to craft all the keys. Now, this was frustrating because sometimes the guards would switch over, wouldn't be in the same position as they would be, couldn't get them to go. Something was always going wrong. For some reason, when I was trying to do it in the second prison, nothing went my way. They would constantly find the keys that I had done, take them away from me, and
fucking hell, man.
And I just kept getting frustrated. Went back to the first prison over and over and over again till we finally got it. We finally found it, thank God. And yeah, the final one, obviously, that we did do was the toilets. Is what we ended up doing for that one. Now, funny enough, obviously, with the last trophy that actually popped the platinum was actually doing favors. This one, again, was kind of RNG related and would depend on what kind of favors they would give you, whether it was easy to do and how fast you could do it. This was very dependent on days. This took a fair while of grinding as well to get this one done. It was a bit like that with this game. The end level grind, like the end game grind, was just crazy, man. It was painful. I'm not gonna lie. It was just dumb. I don't know. Yeah. But the game was great. Like, okay, so overall, this game was fantastic. The platinum was fun and very rewarding. It was a very rewarding platinum. I felt really good about this platinum being done. Not that all the DLC very much lower the percentage on my trophy profile, which I'm not real happy about, but a lot of people haven't even done this game. This platinum is very rare. This is actually a very rare platinum for PlayStation. It's 0.5% on PS4 and 3.66 on PSN profiles. That's crazy. I did not expect that, but I think it's just the frustration of it and the amount of people actually dropping it is mental. Like, it's just a lot of people just dropped it, I guess. And a lot of people just played the second one, which apparently is a lot easier. So for this game, it obviously, again, it had a 6 out of 10, one playthrough in 20 hours. I'm happy with the 6 out of 10. That is 100% fair enough. I thought they were actually being, very generous with that. No, I think that's fair. That is ridiculous. It was 100% fair enough. Now, one playthrough, obviously, I don't think really you need to do any more than that if you want to, but again, it's not necessary. 20 hours, I think, might be wrong. Now, I think this took me 22 to 25. Now, I'm not 100% on this one. My internet went out at one point, so it didn't count the time played completely. It sort of does that. PlayStation does that sometimes. I think if your RNG sucks enough, this could take 30 to 40 hours if you wanted to, honestly, with the toilets and stuff. Ridiculous. I'm not joking when it took me 10 to 12. The story as well, if you struggle enough, I struggled, but if you struggle more than I did, this could take 15 to 20 hours just for the story alone, because some of the parts are hard. Again, RNG will do it. So this is why it's annoying. This is a very RNG platinum to do. Everything has to do with RNG. The drops, the items, to craft things, to escape, constantly RNG. The RNG was frustrating just because of that, and that is why this is a 6 out of 10, but I would say maybe 25 hours probably to platinum this one. I really, really enjoyed this platinum, though. It was really, really good. I'm sorry it was a bit of a short video, and a very late one at that, and I apologize for that. I've been really busy lately, and I didn't get around to doing it. But I really, really enjoyed it. There's not much really to talk about with the platinum, apart from that it's a fantastic game. If you haven't played this game, please do. It is terrific. This is an absolutely amazing game. I highly recommend it. I really want to play the second one as well, and obviously eventually maybe do Prison Architect as well. That Professor wants me to do. Yeah, it's very good, but just be ready to get frustrated, man. That's it. This is probably the most annoying game I've played for a very long time I've ever been on, but apart from that, very good. I am starting to start rating these games as well. I keep forgetting about this. I'm going to start rating these games at the end of it, but how good it is overall. I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10 overall on overall happiness with it, obviously. This would have been an 8, but again, the end grind and RNG, no. And I did not want to, I was so frustrated I didn't want to make this video when I was angry. So this is why I sort of let it cool down a little bit before I made this, but absolutely not. But anyway, I hope you guys all have a great one. Like and subscribe if you want. Otherwise, if you want to watch me platinum some more games, obviously come on down to the cheeky Twitch channel, which is below. And yeah, I stream 5 days a week. You guys have a good one. Bye-bye.